Друзья, вы на канале Помидорка за решеткой, меня зовут Михаил Нарица, и сегодня со мной сидит рядом Эрик. Эрик — представитель компании Obsidian Entertainment, которые занимались многими играми и сейчас разрабатывают и издают на Западе Skyforge, о котором мы будем задавать вопросы. Эрик, здравствуйте. Также со мной рядом находится Кирилл Черняков, наш переводчик, он будет транслировать мои вопросы, собственно, Эрику. Эрик, первый вопрос. Можете ли вы в общих чертах рассказать нам про Skyforge? Именно что он представляет из себя?
So Skyforge is an exciting new sci-fantasy MMORPG where players' ultimate goal is to become a god. So in the universe of Skyforge, gods derive their powers from their followers. The player's planet, the elder god that once protected it has vanished. So now hostile gods from other worlds are invading it. The players are immortals on this world. They're fighting to protect it. As they complete adventures, accomplish goals in the game, they're going to gain followers, become gods themselves. It's also an action combat MMO, so unlike a lot of traditional MMOs where you walk up to the mob, target it, click on it, and kind of run your numbers until it dies or you die, some mouse look, WASD movement, fast-paced, combat action inspired by a lot of console action games like Devil May Cry, Darksiders, that type of stuff. So a lot of abilities slaved to your left and right mouse buttons, combos, things like that. Another cool and unique thing about Skyforge is we don't have the traditional MMO restriction of picking your class right at the beginning of the game, right? Players can develop out any class at any time as they're progressing through the game and spend their points to develop maybe within a class, develop depth, unlock new abilities, or develop towards unlocking other classes or other goals like your god form.
Ну, в первую очередь, хотел бы задать вопрос по миру игры. Что представляют из себя планеты, которые вы назвали, и насколько будет много разновидностей этих планет?
So the focus for the shipping game will just be the player's homeworld of Aeolon. There will be gods and their armies from other worlds, aquatic gods, mechanoids, robots, things like this, things that are very nature, an army of nature and that type of stuff. But initially in the shipping game, we won't be sending you off to those other worlds. The fight will be defending your own world, gaining your own power, and becoming a god yourself.
По поводу тогда богов. Игроки, как я понимаю, являются сами по себе богами. Как они могут разделяться по классам и вообще сколько классов планируется или имеется в наличии сейчас?
So the game will launch with over 10 classes. I think we've announced about 5 of them so far. So the Paladin, Cryomancer, we've announced the Gunner, Berserker, Slayer, and I think I've got one more that I'm totally missing there, and I apologize. All of those classes can progress towards unlocking their god form. When you do unlock your god form, it's not like you're playing a totally different class. You're going to be able to play any of the classes you've already unlocked, and in your god form, you're going to have those combat abilities that you're used to playing, the rotations that you're used to playing, and your god form is going to confer additional benefits on you, like tremendous power. You're just going to be off the charts powerful. You're going to be able to change classes in combat, which you can't do as an immortal. They can only change when they're out of combat, direct heals in combat and things of that nature.
Будет ли как-то возможность стать реально богом? То есть мы понимаем, что мы начинаем обычным игроком, который как бы недалек от своего божества. Будет ли возможность реализовать его в полной мере?
Yes, so the first step along the way is the unlocking of your god form, and that's a form you can go into. Super powerful, high degree of visibility. Throughout the game, we have a secondary system called the Order System. We'll be talking about that in a few weeks, and that's where you're gaining followers, developing those followers, sending them out on missions, and doing things in the world for you. And then, unlocking your god form is just the beginning, right? That's where you become a lesser god. It's a very high-end accomplishment, but on top of that, we have an entire progression in mind for gods to become intermediate gods and greater gods themselves in the high-end game.
Помимо последователей, можно ли будет как-то достигать другими способами этого самого божества? Может быть, будут, не знаю, прокачка навыков или, в конце концов, эквипмента?
In Skyforge, like I said, we've sort of decoupled the traditional notion of leveling and class restriction. We have what's called the prestige system, which ranks your overall progression through the game, the accomplishments and rewards you've gotten. Your development of your prestige and pursuit of things in the Ascension Atlas, either at the lower level within a class, pursuing new abilities, unlocking those, or new perks, or at the upper level, the overall development of your character, and where you're spending your points there, is one measure of your power, one axis of development. There's a tremendous amount of freedom in there to customize your character the way you want to play. Another part of your power will come from the gear and equipment you're getting. We have decoupled, again, the traditional MMO approach of you get the boots of power and the gauntlets of this, and you end up looking like a hobo because you've got all these different drops and they don't match together and they don't look good. And so then we design a whole different system, the wardrobe system, to keep you from looking stupid. and that's weird too. So we just abandoned that whole idea. Your look is your look, right? And that's not where you're getting your stats from. So you can play in your class armor, you can customize your look, or you can play in just casual vanity wear and be just as combat viable as you are in class armor. So you're getting item drops. Those will represent about 30% of your power, and there'll be progression there. The drops you get, the rings you're getting, weapons you're getting, secondary weapons, that sort of stuff. And then on top of that, another 30% of your power opportunity can come from the order system. And if that's not something you really want to spend your time developing and micromanaging and really get your fun out of, you will be able to buy those slots and buy those followers yourself.
Тогда немного отвлечемся назад и поговорим о мире игры. Конкретно интересует построение локаций. Будут ли они открытыми, закрытыми или же инстансовыми?
So we have a mix of both. Skyforge, the way you get around the world is through the Divine Observatory. You've seen that globe with the different events on it. What that does is that displays all the content that's open to you at any given time, right? And every 30 minutes it's looking at your prestige level, what events are up, what PvP matches are up, and displaying those for you. And it's kind of a fast travel system to get you to the content you want to play. In a lot of MMOs, you have this awesome, rendering an entire beautiful continent in front of you, and then figuring out what's going on in the world using this tiny 1960s technology chat window like a telex terminal to figure out what's going on. It's super lame. So we've put that all into one nice user interface that allows you to quickly look at what's going on, and then you can move to the content you want. And that's going to be a mix of open air zones, the zones where you're going to be with hundreds of other players, thousands of other players, in there for 10, 12, however many hours you want, right? And then there's instance content, right? Solo instances, group instances, different stuff, PvP, all those sorts of things, set up for you, presented to you, and then you can pursue the stuff you want. Maybe you got off work late, you only got a little bit of time, so you just want to do a quick solo instance, right? Or you want to get into a group instance with your buddies. It's easy to find them, meet up. Or it's the weekend, or you've just finished your finals, you got no commitments, right? And you want to be in one of those open air zones for quite a bit of time, right? You can get right to that.
Хорошо, тогда по поводу PvP, раз как вы заметили, хотелось бы спросить, оно будет доступно с самого начала игрокам или же только на определенном уровне прокачки престижа? Может быть, PvP как раз и будет основным способом прокачаться у игроков. Возможно ли такое?
So, yes. So PvP is a huge part of this game. It's a big part of MMOs for a lot of players. So we have a very complex PvP system. It's available to players very early on in the game. We start simple with simple maps and simple gameplay types, and then as your prestige grows, unlock different types of maps for you, different PvP encounters, and you will be able to get rewards and drops from PvP that allow you to progress, right? One of the main focuses for us on Skyforge is to allow players to quickly get to the content they want to play and play that content. So if you want to move forward and progress by just PvPing, that's going to be an option for players. So we have a mix of PvP game types, right? Simple death matches, team death matches, payload matches, right? Where you're protecting an object, capture the flag. Each of those has different team sizes, right? We do have plans for large, high-end, huge PvP events, guild-sized PvP stuff down the road. We're not talking about that just yet. So we want to have a wide range of PvP, quick, simple matches, right? Deathmatch, team deathmatch, some more complicated ones that require more team gameplay, the payload type matches, things like that, where you have objects on the match that can sway the battle. You have an item you're protecting or moving forward or backwards through the thing, more tactics, that type of stuff, and then larger team battles.
Хорошо, тогда по поводу вопрос гильдий и прочих, скажем так, возможных вариантов сообщества играть друг с другом. Будет ли какая-то борьба за территории, борьба за власть, может быть, божество своего собственного персонажа?
So, making PvP that appeals to those large-scale guild battles and, big territory battle is kind of the holy grail for PvP designers. We definitely want to support that. We're not talking in detail about what that means just yet. It's a challenge as a designer to make something that appeals to large organized groups like that and is balanced out. So we want to focus on first getting our small-scale PvP or smaller-scale PvP matches right to begin with, and really nailing that and appealing to that, and then as we do get those larger scale matches online, we'll be talking about them more and what they mean.
Хорошо, тогда по поводу последнего вопрос. Как же будет реализовано high-level контент в игре? То есть чего игроки будут пытаться добиться, когда уже прокачаются и как будто бы побывают везде?
Yeah, so high-end content is obviously a huge part of any MMO, right? Players are going to go through the progression game quicker than we as developers ever want them to. I worked on Fallout 2, right? We tested it. It'd take us like 8 hours to test it. There's a speed run on YouTube that's like 21 minutes long, right? It's just ridiculous how fast players consume content. So you need that high-end stuff. Right now, we're talking about one of the high-end systems here at the show. We're talking about the invasion system, and this isn't the only high-end content. This is just one type, and this is where players will go through staged events, right? Starting with enemy invasion ships coming to the game world, attacking, with hordes of monsters, attacking, say, a village or something like that, and you've got a big enemy invasion ship in the sky, right? As players defeat those hordes of monsters, they're going to collect research materials. These research materials, when you have enough of them, are key to unlocking the next stage of the event. They're also the key to the survival of that, and they're going to allow you to move to that next stage, which is a 5-man group instance, taking the fight to the enemy, attacking the enemy on those invasion ships. Each of those invasions is coming from a certain type of army, so, an army of death, right, with lots of ghouls, rats, skeletal creatures, that type of stuff, or an aquatic army, right, with the little reptile guys you see on the walls here and stuff like that. Out of the camera view, there's a cool reptile guy. Anyways, you're going to the ship that's come from this alien world. It's going to be a unique visual experience. It's a huge area, multi-wing thing. This is a 5-man group moving around this ship, killing enemies, destroying stuff, and collecting enough research materials to advance it to the next stage, right, which is to fight the harbinger of those armies. And these are hugely powerful, unique mobs. They're not going to be mobs that you'll see out in the rest of the world. At this high-end content, we know players know how to play their classes. We know players have their lesser god form. So we can use all the tools in the toolbox to really make these fights unique and interesting and compelling. Fighting that Harbinger is going to be a really difficult task. That's a 10-man group instance, right, the players are going to take down. At any given time, we'll have 2 of these invasions up out of the pool of invasions that can be run. Those will run for about 2 weeks, so players have a time constraint on getting this accomplished before the invasion closes. Then those invasions will be down for a week. We'll randomize the pool again, bring new invasions up. And one of the paths to unlocking your intermediate god form is to kill 6 of those Harbingers. On top of all that, we'll have fully realized Harbingers. These are kind of special events where the Harbinger is 2x powerful. A really unique occasion if players, if a group can take him down, there's going to be server-wide benefits. If they can't in time, there'll be a server-wide negative as well. And we're still tuning what those ideas are and what those mean in the game numbers. And that's just one aspect of the high-end gameplay. There'll be, for the people that don't like group content, we'll have content for them as well. People that, want a PvP at the high end, we'll have content there as well.
Ну что же, господа, это было интервью с Эриком из компании Obsidian Entertainment. Мы поговорили по поводу Skyforge. Надеюсь, вам было достаточно все понятно в силу наших возможностей. Что же, Эрик, спасибо большое за интервью. Надеюсь, пребывание в нашей стране вам очень нравится.
Thank you very much. It's been great. I dig it here.
До свидания. Пока всем.
Bye. So a lot of abilities slave to your left to right. I can't talk.